Hey guys, Zom Fox here, and with the 2022 USFL season being officially over, it's time to look back and think about and actually analyze how did the USFL do in regards to things like TV ratings, fans, and whether or not it'll be set up for success. To put it, this is pretty much a season review in a sense. Now, not fully in terms of the players, just in terms of the, ratings and stuff like that. Because ultimately what matters most for the USFL is that the ratings do show success, so that the league can continue being a legit profitable thing. The first thing to note is the USFL has confirmed that they will be coming back next year. They come back and said that they're probably going to have, I believe it's 2 to 4 different hub cities, which you take your pick if you think that's good or not. I'm assuming it's going to be 2 or 4 hub cities. I would assume that if it's 2 hub cities, it'd be Birmingham, and then another team or another city to hold both the north end and the south end. That would be what I assume, and if it's 4 cities, I would assume it's 2 and 2, or the South would just have all 4 teams, and then the North would have no teams. That's just my idea of what it would probably be to make it make sense. But the fact that it's coming back and that they are expanding is good, though them not expanding fully questionable. I kind of get it for a monetary sense, but I don't know for sure. So, to put it simply, you need to understand what the USFL is mainly competing with. Specifically, the main competitors during its season will be the NBA and NHL playoffs, along with NASCAR races that are going on during that time. There's only a few, but still kind of a good idea of what's around. There's a lot of other things, that happen. Like, I know the Premier League ends during that time, but I'm only going to be covering a couple of them. So, to put it simply for how the USFL did, its biggest single game on pretty much a single market was pretty much the championship game. It averaged about 1.25 million viewers. And, oh, by the way, all these numbers are from either Sportsnot or Sports Media Watch, just an FYI, or Sports Pro Media. So, yeah. But the championship game averaged about 1.25 million viewers, which is pretty solid. The 0.1 rating isn't the best, but the 1.25 million viewers is a really good way for it to end, as it shows that the league did have people, or just people wanting to watch it. Along with that, playoff games average about 900,000 viewers, and if you take overall, pretty much every game that was on Fox or NBC averaged at least 600,000, with multiple games averaging over 1 million. Naturally, the ones that were on like FS1 USA, they didn't do as good, as there were even some games where they would average less than 300,000 viewers. But the games that pretty much mattered, the games that had the Stallions especially, those games averaged respectable numbers throughout pretty much the entire year. As I'll have the links to all 5, because I have 5 links for this. Well, no, I'm gonna link the USFL one down below, because the USFL one and the NASCAR one both show each race and week independently. But overall, if you look at it, they pretty much successfully got viewership on every single national televised game, and the ones that were on those other channels did not do nearly as well. And naturally, after the first about 4 weeks, the numbers did drop. But to put it simply, on Fox and NBC, they averaged over 800,000 viewers, which is solid. Now, the main one that they're not going to beat is pretty much the NBA. I know people keep talking about the NBA's decline and stuff like that, but to put it simply, if you actually look at the numbers, not really. Entering the second weekend of the playoffs, the league was averaging 3.6 million viewers across its networks, and that's despite the fact that they didn't have all their games on national televised games. Remember, NBA's on ESPN, which is not, TNT, which is not, ABC, which is, but yeah. So they averaged 3.6 million viewers for the first 2 weeks. Then, in terms of through the second round, they were still averaging 3.71 million viewers, which is over triple what the USFL was. And as for the finals themselves, the finals averaged a pretty respectable or insane 12.4 million viewers. Now, technically, is that good numbers for the NBA sense? No. But the fact that it still did average that, in terms of, yes, in NBA sense, it's not that good, but when you combine it relative to other sports, that's literally over 10 times what the USFL had. So the NBA is the one that's out of question. The NASCAR, there isn't a ton of races, but NASCAR has had a pretty respectable resurgence. If you look at the thing I was showing, the Sportsnot one, nearly every single race this entire season, and I mean almost every single one, has averaged at least 2 million viewers, with over half of them averaging over 4 million viewers. Or in a simple sense, a lot of people are watching NASCAR. Like a lot of people. So in that sense, they do get hurt on that side as well, as NASCAR is doing better than them. But I mean, they are having a pretty insane, resurgence. So at least you could say that, I guess. But the one that really matters to me is the Stanley Cup. To put it simply, hockey's always been kind of the fourth one of those big four sports. Whether or not you're like me and think that it's overall the best sport or not, that's up to you. But in terms of viewership, the USFL was consistently beating the NHL for most of the playoffs and season. Now, here's the overall thing you need to know. This is the whole paragraph from Sports Pro Media. To put it simply, the NHL playoffs as a whole averaged 1.36 million viewers, which is nearly fully recuperated from pre-COVID. Now, here's where you need to understand that. Yes, that does mean they did better than the USFL in theory, but I say in theory because the literal 6 most viewed games since the league returned from COVID, which is about 2 years ago, were all 6 Stanley Cup final games. All 6 of them. And that averaged 5.82 million viewers. So, yes, as a whole, the playoffs averaged 1.36 million viewers, but that number was, raised a lot thanks to just the finals. Because that's 6 games averaging 5.8 million viewers to go to a total that was a lot less than, 5.8 million viewers. So, as a whole, the Stanley Cup playoffs did not average even 1.30 million. So, the USFL as a whole, nearly, in terms of national televised games in the USFL sense, which, yes, the NHL doesn't have that, which is something you need to keep in mind. But, as a whole, the USFL national televised games matched the Stanley Cup playoffs as a whole if you pretty much eliminate, the Stanley Cup final games. Now, if you include, the FS1 USA games, USFL does take a massive hit. But what you need to understand is, for one, and these are just the ideas heading in the next season. The ideas of the USFL is that next season, one, people are going to be looking at this league in a more respectable light since it actually made it through a season. More people will be in tune to get invested in a league that they actually feel like will stay, rather than the XFL and AAF. Number 2, the quality of players will probably improve. With the league succeeding, it might make some other, backup third-string guys, rather than mainly practice squad guys like it was this season, actually take a chance to go to the USFL to, get back on the map. And it's possible that some older guys who, aren't being signed because of age or stuff could go to the USFL and prove that, hey, they still have some stuff left. So the quality of life will probably improve. And then 3, the expansion. Now, is it a bad thing that they're only expanding to, 1 or 3 more cities? Yeah. But the fact they are expanding is a good thing. The Birmingham games averaged the most viewers across the whole year by a mile. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fans in Birmingham and people, actually having that home team. So if let's say you have the Generals go to New Jersey, you'll have another team in Jersey, but you'll have a team that actually considers themselves New Jersey, unlike the Jets and Giants, which call themselves New York but play in Jersey. So there's a good chance that, people in New Jersey will actually take fondness to the Generals and watch those games on TV. And because of those, big things, the TV rating could definitely improve. And then not to mention just betting. The betting will, prove to continue going as, it was a main driving force. I know I talked about it in my betting video that a lot of people were caring about the, the ending of the championship game just because of the spread pick. So, overall, I think the USFL is pretty much poised for a lot of success next year. With the XFL coming, I know people are thinking that that might be a bad thing. But for one, the XFL season is in a worse spot than the USFL in a sense. The XFL season is running from like February to April, I believe, rather than April. I think it's like early February to late April rather than late April to early July. So during that, you have the heart of the most important parts of the NHL NBA season. You have as well the beginning of baseball. You have the Premier League, La Liga, all that stuff going on. You have even more sports going on. Not to mention football is more of an in focus because that's when you have free agency and stuff. So the XFL is also going to be handicapped by the fact that the USFL succeeded. So overall, I think heading into year 2, the USFL is poised for really great success because of the fact that the XFL is not going to be playing in the best time, the fact that the USFL, made it through a season. And the fact their TV ratings showed that people were watching, which is the most important. So that's pretty much it for today. This has been Zomfox. If you enjoy this content, let me know as soon as I upload any videos. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. And as always, have a great night.